What's going on, guys? Episode 29, Tim Riopelle. I found him on Twitter and I gave him a follow, hit him up to run the podcast. And then the following 5 days, he sells out all of his pieces on KnownOrigin and SuperRare. So awesome success leading up into this and a ton of growth that's happening on his Twitter. So really happy to kind of catch that inflection point, right, for this guy. And so the guy started off doing digital animation for TV shows. Now he works at a school, so he's on like the cutting edge of software and technology and stuff to that extent. And so he talks about that. He talks about his family life with his kid, with his wife, and how he got started, the whole nine. Awesome podcast. It was a blast. I like the guy a lot. Super enthusiastic, and so please enjoy. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Time is always appreciated. As always, thank you. Peace. I mean, the hype that has been happening as far as like the scene goes is absolutely insane. It's
It's nuts. It's
like
like getting here in October and just like
mhm,
feeling my way out. There's a whole new wave of big collectors coming in too,
mhm.
and it's nuts. Like I got in right when the old collectors were just running out of ETH to spend on art, and yeah, it's pretty crazy to see the new influx of people coming in.
Yeah, did you so I mean I think like a little bit more of a mixed bag. Oh, Bodwin's here. This is gonna be good. Bodwin was in for the Golter chat. He was talking. He asked like a ton of good questions. I don't know if you had seen it, but always excited to see Bodwin because he's super helpful. Did you see that Beeple got offered by Mark Cuban for 10%?
Yeah, what was this? Something like six. Did he say 600 billion? Is that what
Yeah,
he said?
dude. Like that. I mean, this is something that I personally am like struggling with, where it's like it's just too much money. Like I can't conceptual like billion,
Yeah.
like million, like even hundreds of millions. I can't even conceptualize.
Well, can you imagine that? Working for 10 years straight, just doing your thing, just
Yeah,
sitting in your room making art, a piece a day. And then 10 years later, all of a sudden, like he has a nifty drop.
yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's the pioneer, right? He's what we're all here about. Like he
Mhm.
created the whole thing. So I mean, it's awesome. He's getting what he deserves, but it's
Yeah,
just crazy. $600 billion for 10%.
yeah.
Like
I
that's
it's unfathomable, unfathomable. I mean, hopefully the train continues, and this is just like the absolute beginning. 90% of people that I know have no idea about like NFTs or digital art. I just get, wait, what are you talking about?
yeah. And like trying to explain it to like, yeah, like I just talk my wife's ear off about it because it's just like so crazy to me
Mm,
that and like, especially being in like the pandemic and everything, you're not
mm,
getting out and being able to see people and talk to people about stuff. So it's like, yeah, like I try to talk to my mom about it and she's just like, oh, great. She's like, be careful with cryptocurrency
yeah,
because,
don't get
you
scammed.
know, but it's like, yeah, it's actually artists starting to like, get their worth. It's like
Yeah,
they're not having to deal with clients. They're working for themselves. They're more or less, it's a crazy thing to see that they're finally, starting to get what they're worth in a lot of
yeah,
cases. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely agree. I love to see. So Color Eclipse Art is in, ND Paint is in, Lane is in, Bodwin had said hello. So the chat is moving.
Is it on Twitch? Can I load it up and see like what's going on
Yeah,
if I open?
yeah, you could just pull it up too. You could just have that so that way, like and feel free to meta it like while it's up. If you see like a question and you want to just hop into it, like hit it completely.
Okay,
I'm
cool. So
like
yeah,
that's the whole point of this, where like I really just appreciate the I can't be everywhere at once. So if somebody has a good question, that's perfect.
cool. So let's pop it over. So I'm seeing the okay, cool. Yeah. So let me just try this.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's under my wife's name right now.
Uh-huh.
So, but I'll be Jenna Earl for this one.
Perfect, perfect. Let's let's hit well, step one. How do you pronounce your last name?
So my last name is pronounced Riopelle.
Okay.
So it's gonna be funny. I think it's gonna be something that with my continued success that I'll have to explain
Yeah.
a lot of times. Yeah.
It's not that bad. I think I was actually like pretty spot on. Like not to pat myself on the back too heavy, but I think that was exactly my guess. So
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was good. And Corey nailed it as well. I appreciated that when he was on
yeah,
last week. So Yeah, no, it's funny. It's been something I've dealt with my entire life. So it's pretty it's pretty run of the mill for dealing with that.
Yeah. My last name is actually Savage, and so like when I was in like high school, I had like an English teacher of all teachers go, "How do you pronounce your name? Is it like in like the attendance portion?" And they're like, "Is it Sauvage?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? Is it Sauvage? Like it's just Savage. Like I don't know. It's just it's absolutely like the weirdest thing. But
Yeah.
you want to talk to your beginnings, like what got you to the dance in terms of digital art?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's funny. So I've kind of been into art since I was not like hardcore into it. I've been a musician and into music for a really long time, but I always like messed around in the art space. Like I remember getting into like Flash animation back in high school, back when it was starting to come in, and like newgrounds.com. I
Mm,
remember doing some animations for them like back in the day, and kind of just getting into that. And I never really like pursued it. Like I'd always like draw here and there and do
mm,
sketches and that sort of thing. But I was always more about music. So yeah, I've been playing guitar and stuff for the last like 20 plus years, and
sick.
it's kind of my passion. And yeah, I've been getting into like bass as well, and like getting into drums is more like I really am musically driven. And I think it comes like all this sort of stuff just came to a point in I'm like 38 now, so it's all kind of built up into this just up to this point where I'm able to kind of use it in this art space, and like use it all together to create pieces and cover the full spectrum of the creative process. But like that, it was basically sitting in my room as a kid and just doing this stuff and learning with the computer. I learned like 3D, started to get into like 3D Max and doing some 3D stuff. But and then I eventually just kind of I never really paid much attention to it until later on. I went to university for geography
Mhm,
in like geomatics and spatial analysis, so like
mhm.
GPS systems and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I ended up dropping out.
Yeah.
And so I dropped out and to pursue actually moving out to Vancouver to
Mhm,
learn about video game and like content creation for video games
mhm,
and whatnot. So yeah, I moved out here in 2000 and what was it now? Yeah, 2005. So I went to a school here for video game design.
mhm.
Um, and just kind of my brother Scott had mentioned before I came out here. He's like, well, why don't you go into like your computers and stuff like that? Like why not go into like that area? Why not go into it and sort of pursue an art aspect because you're familiar with it and whatnot? Because I was a little on the fence about what to do at that point because I wasn't into university. I didn't really understand how it's a whole different way of learning,
Mhm.
and it's not hands-on. It's very by the books, and just it's not yeah it's just not something that I was able to at the time kind of do. My mind wasn't working that way. I think
Yeah.
now that I'm more mature and stuff, I think it would be a lot easier to handle. But
Mhm,
so eventually I did that. I moved out here. I did the video game design program, and I learned on an engine that literally after I graduated, Unreal Engine came out
uh-huh.
literally like the summer I graduated and
Mhm.
completely changed how video games were made.
Yeah.
So that whole year of learning was just basically down the tube because
Uh,
so I didn't really know what to do. I had like a 3D modeling background and I could animate, and I was more of a generalist than anything.
mhm,
So I was able to kind of just jump around jobs for the next little bit. Like I worked at a bunch of small startup companies. I worked for like this pro wrestling game called Pro Wrestling X.
mhm,
So I got to do some cool stuff for that, like animations and some modeling, and I started to kind of learn the industry a bit by jumping around these smaller companies and like jumping into like other like game engines and stuff that
mhm.
started up right around the time like Unity was coming. Unity and Unreal were starting to kind
Yeah.
of blow up. So um, I was working at companies doing like demo builds for that sort of thing and like making little environments and,
Mhm,
and games and whatnot. But it kind of gave me a sense to get more like creative and into like they just basically gave me creative control in those situations, which was awesome. It's like the best thing to do in a job is to be able to have like control over what you're doing and not kind of being told what you have to do.
mhm,
But and then sort of to get more where I'm at right now, like in 2012, I finally decided that I kind of wanted to get into visual effects, because visual effects were the big thing, and video games had kind of died out in Vancouver at that time, but now they're back again and huge. But they were kind of dying out, and I decided to go back into VFX. So I went back to school at Capilano University, and yeah, I did 1 year there in the program. I got a job after that summer, and I had to drop out of university again. Mm-hmm. So I'm a 2-time university dropout.
Successful regardless.
Yeah, and then it was crazy. So after that, I got into a company called Bardell, and I was a green screen removal artist for an Australian kid show called Lala's Adventures. Mm-hmm. And it was awesome. Like, we got to do green screen removal, and we got to do some like 2D comp and like animation and whatnot. And like, I didn't really know a lot about the industry or anything at that point, because I'd only worked at startups. So they're very, very much different than like a big established company. So it was kind of cool to learn that whole system and how things work in there. But yeah, right after that, I finished that project, and then there's a project that came up to be on as a lighting artist. So I didn't really know what a lighting artist was at that time. I didn't know that there was like a specific subset for lighting artists. And it was on this movie called The Prophet. And little did I know at the time that it was directed by Roger Allers. So he did The Lion King. I think he co-directed Aladdin. But it was crazy. Like, these people were all in-house. Like, Nick Ranieri, he like animated Lumiere and Beauty and the Beast. Like, these guys were all upstairs in this little studio, and we were sitting by them every single day. And like, it was just like so wild to go from working on this Australian kid show for like 8 months to like being thrown into this situation with with all these crazy artists, and like working on a feature film. It was like produced by Selma Hayek and stuff like that. And
wow.
Yeah, it was like this biggest. I think it was the biggest project I've ever worked on, and it was like right at the start of my career as a lighting artist. But yeah, anyways, like, I finished that. It was like 2 months of like really intense work. I think I worked like almost a month straight. And yeah, like right after it was done, some DreamWorks contracts that came through for all their streaming. So it was before streaming was a massive thing on Netflix. And Bardell managed to acquire 4 new shows from DreamWorks doing this. So like, I was kind of at the forefront of the whole streaming boom when that happened. So I basically got on, and once I got into the DreamWorks shows, like I was employed. I've been employed ever since, like for the last the last 8 years. Coming from where you would never know if you were going to have like a 3-month contract or like a contract or whatever. Yeah, to have like solid work for 8 years after that, it was pretty insane. And like, just to see how the animation industry has exploded. Like, it's been through a recession. It's like been one of the strongest, like animation itself. VFX took a hit, but like animation for kid shows and whatnot, and those, the ones that are more dependent where you can work from home and you don't need to be on site doing recording and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's just blown up. Yeah. It's like the fact that it can just power through all of this stuff just shows that people love entertainment, people love art. And I think that's what you're seeing today, is that people really love art. People want artists to succeed. They want to be a part of this new movement that's happening that is supporting artists and letting them go. Because I think, it's just, you're starting to see that it's like a part of everyone's everyday life. People like to sit down and watch movies. They like to sit down and play video games. They draw. Like, it's pretty insane. But so basically, that led up to like the last, so 3 years ago, bringing him up again, I was turned on to Beeple, and I looked at his work, and I was absolutely blown away. Like, how he's developed over the last like 10 years, like all the different phases he went through. It was really inspiring to kind of see that someone could do that for so long and continue to elevate and push themselves and constantly inspire people too. Like, I was inspired, and I started to kind of get into it. And I started with like spheres. So I wanted to do the 9 planets. So I wanted to make like cool shaders. So I started with, like I did like Earth, I did Mars, I don't even think I got through all of them. So I did like Earth, Mars, Mercury, Venus. And what I tried to do is like break shaders. So when you're in 3D, there's a lot of things you can do to break things.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the most interesting results kind of come from, just breaking things and seeing what kind of happens. And like with 3D especially, you just have this world inside your computer where you're kind of able to just do whatever you want. And you can just attach things to other things. Like you can put unconventional connections into your shader network so that you're getting like pretty wild results and stuff that people have probably never seen before. So that was kind of my intent on starting this whole thing. I wanted to see if I could push myself every day to try to do this and to try to learn something. And although I don't condone trying to do every days, that's my own thing. The people who do it blow me away.
Yeah.
I feel there's creativity lost if you try to do something every day. Like obviously Beeple's, a great case of doing it every day. But what I did learn is that the more you do something and the more you're consistent about doing it, the less concepts take to like materialize. It's like you'll kind of sit down after you've done like 40 or 50 pieces, and it's just like, okay, I have my idea, and then it just kind of pours out of you. And then like you kind of get a sense of where the final image is going within like the first hour or something. And then it's just a matter of tweaking textures and lighting and color and kind of adding elements and taking it away. But yeah, to kind of get back on track and kind of wrap this up on this end of things, it's it was more just starting to kind of get out of a creative funk, because like being in the industry, you're kind of like a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
So you're like this, you're doing your job every single day. You're kind of running the same routine every single day. Episodes are due every 6 weeks. You go, you do it, you do a big rush, and then all of a sudden that's kind of relaxed for a bit. And it's like that over and over and over again for like, at that point it was like
forever.
5 years. So I didn't feel creative, and I didn't feel like I was an artist. I felt like I was more just like a high tech person in an artistic industry. But I'm seeing chats over here, guys. I will answer these eventually. I see Noah in there, my nephew. How's it going, buddy? So pretty much, I did it to get out of a creative funk. And as I did it more, I started getting more reception. Like I strictly went with Instagram and just started sharing there. And then quickly got turned on to like a bunch of artists there, and started kind of networking with them. I was never really good with networking with the artist on Instagram. Like I was pretty busy, so it was hard to, like, they had chat groups they invited me to, and I'm sorry guys, like I really respected them and wanting to include me in that, but I just never had the time to like respond and like actually engage with them, because I was just like so busy with life and all of that I felt bad that I couldn't really do it, and I was getting all this support on my posts from them and all that stuff, and I tried to do my best. But yeah, it was pretty wild. So it's kind of crazy to see that now that whole community that was built on Instagram is now here, like seeing like Dream Nuts and seeing like Alfacina. I think that's it. I'm horrible at pronouncing these usernames. I will call them out in a chat after, because they've absolutely inspired me, and it's just like, it's crazy because I'm older and a lot of these guys are super young. So it's awesome to see. Like all of them now transferring over into this space and kind of getting success. Like, especially I don't know what's going on the last 2 weeks, but there's something happening. It's like, it's wild. It's really wild. But yeah.
Yeah, it feels like 2018 with like the Bitcoin pump, where it was just like pandemonium, where you're just like waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and like for you guys, like things are selling, and like, you know, like I'm waking up and I'm like, what the hell? Like somebody sending me a message about, you know, something selling for, you know, $90,000, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know, and like, sorry, stream of thoughts, but you also mentioned, you know, like younger kids. I found it like really, like I kind of found it hilarious that like Ferocious is like, oh yeah, check out this young kid, and I'm like, you're the fucking young kid. Like what? He's so talented at 18. Like it's incredible, and he's calling out like a 16-year-old, like showcasing him, and it's like, Jesus.
Justin,
like,
I was gonna mention Justin. That's crazy. He's crazy too. Like the fact that he's 16 and he's killed it the last 2 days. So that's big time for him. I'm super happy for him. But it's cool. like, it's cool to see kind of everyone. You're seeing everyone get it. Like, there's such a wide range of people in this space. Like, like since getting into it, I've been kind of, so I got into SuperRare initially. So my friend Ian got me onto them, and I had no idea about crypto art. So I was just like, he sent me a message like a month literally before I actually applied, and I saw it and I was like, I'm like, I don't really know about this crypto art. And like, I had it at the back of my mind to like kind of wanted to approach it, but I had other things going on. Like I was working on a pretty intense show at one of my studios. So I was kind of focused on that. And I had to go back east for a little bit and spend some time there. So, but I think once I got back, it was early October. I just decided to go through the whole process and like record the application video, get all my stuff together. Yeah. And I just applied, and I wouldn't, 3 weeks later, 2.5 weeks later, I get the acceptance, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I didn't expect to, because everyone, it wasn't like a huge thing yet. I think it was kind of starting to be talked about. I think the artist's name was Framework. I think he got added on like a week before I did, but I'd reached out to him, and kind of, he had made some big sales early on. And I was talking to him about it, and he was just kind of, he just kind of gave me an intro into what's going on with it. And like, funnily enough, I had set up a crypto stuff like way back in the day. Like I tried to invest in 2016, and then it all crashed in 2017. So I was like, screw this. I don't, and I left it. I just didn't, I had like Litecoin or something in there, and I didn't even think about it. But so when I came back to actually do this whole process of like, onboarding and doing all this stuff, I already had like pretty much it all set up from the like applying to Coinbase, getting money in your account, doing all that stuff. It was already all set up. So it's just a matter of like setting up my MetaMask account, and I was in. Like I got approved, and then as soon as that happened, I transferred some money over. I think I had my Litecoin, so I think I had like $80 in there or something. So I put that over into my MetaMask, and I got everything set up, and then it was pretty crazy, the whole thing. And then wouldn't you know it, I get onboarded the same week as Fuckrender. So he was in the same week. So we're both from Vancouver. So it was crazy for him. He actually lives in the building, the artist live workspace I used to live in as well. So he's reached out and said the landlord had mentioned talking to me about it. So it's kind of a small world in that regard here. But it's insane. Do
you think you're going to do any work with him?
I don't know. I'd love to reach out to him and talk to him. I've talked to him a couple of times, but obviously the guy's one of the hardest working individuals, and he's constantly busy. So it's really great to see his success and like him innovating the space. But I mean, it would be cool to work with him, but hopefully, we'll see what happens.
I mean, not to like, I'm just curious, because like for me personally, I love seeing people's like unique styles, but I also like to see like the blend kind of thing, where it's like, oh, okay, like that's your take and that's his take kind of thing, and that kind of combination.
And I mean, that's the thing too. So in that regard, the tough thing with me is that I use Maya. So I use Maya and Redshift. So Maya is it's very much used in production environments. So like in the animation industry, it's like a pretty widely used software, but nobody else uses it. So it's like, so to do collaborations, it makes it really tough with other 3D artists, because like the shader networks and whatnot doesn't, the shader networks don't really link up. So you're basically having to rebuild stuff. So I've been in talks with some artists about collabs, and we're trying to figure out ways to kind of bridge that gap and kind of do projects where that allow us to kind of both do things in our own softwares. But I think that's going to probably amp up over the next bit. I did my collab recently with Nate Hill. That was pretty wild. Nate, if you're watching, I love that project, man. It was, so Nate basically sent me an image. We kind of discussed, we haven't really talked in person or anything. It was more me reaching out and asking like if you'd want to collab on anything, because I just really loved his work. Just like his line movement and in his pieces, when you're like scrolling through Instagram, it just like kind of phases you, and it's like the pieces look like they're all moving and whatnot. So I wanted to try to, and this is something I'm trying to do as well. I'm trying to reach out to artists outside of 3D,
Mhm.
and I really want to like work hard to pull in their styles into the 3D environment, because it's I think as 3D artists we have this power to really bring a new element to these artists and kind of introduce them in sort of a new means to like their supporters and viewers. And I think I've been doing this for 20 years. Like I know what to do. Like I can look at a piece of art and kind of just break it down, like how I would go about doing it, like what I would kind of do. So when I got Nate's piece, I just kind of had seen his art, and when I reached out to him before we had even talked about it, I started just messing around and trying to match his style in 3D and kind of building landscapes and whatnot with the line work and stuff. And then, yeah, when you sent me the piece, I got his image. So for this one, he'll say that I did like the lion's share of the work, which, yeah, I probably did, but the whole piece wouldn't be anything without Nate's contribution and like his dialogue back and forth, like his direction and kind of, yeah. So it was pretty crazy to like start doing it and like try to, like I originally had it black and white, and it was going to transition into color and more into like my own sort of colored pieces that are weird and sci-fi. But at the end of it, I kind of figured that I wanted to keep it true to Nate's work, because I feel that Nate was really kind of like, Nate's following is huge. Like I don't come from a huge following, but I'm not going to call myself like a small artist. I think I've worked hard, and I've made a bit of a name for myself, which I'm super stoked about. But I just didn't have the sort of following and stuff like that he did. So I really thought making the piece more about his end of things and doing that was probably a good option. And I'm so happy with that piece. Like it's one of the first pieces I've ever made where like I watch it and I get chills, because I mean, it's just like, it's awesome that I was able to like do everything. Like I did the music for it. I did like the concept and just kind of took his idea and rolled with it. And yeah, just kind of bounced it back and forth. And we had the whole piece actually running in reverse, including the music was recorded the proper way. And then literally before we were going to mint it the night before, I was like, oh, hey, Nate, I was trying to do something cool for the promotion, and I reversed the music. And then I was like, hey, why don't I try reversing the whole thing? And then I did that. And I was like, well, holy shit. I'm like, this is way more impactful than actually playing the piece the proper way. So it's weird how things can kind of just develop like that right up until the last minute. But yeah, that was an awesome. That's the only collaboration to date, and it's made me hungry to kind of jump in and do more.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, to your point with like, his followers is your followers, like I definitely think, I mean, you're seeing the growth, right? Like, I mean, I've commented on a couple of your posts about, how close you were to 1,500, and you're just absolutely exploding. And my personal take is like that you're clearly an enthusiastic person, or at least right now you are. I don't know if you drank coffee, but it seems like you're a very enthusiastic person, which I love. And that, like, it shows through on Twitter, and in like that Twitter NFT space, like you really get to showcase, and, not that it's sales, but like, partially sale or marketing yourself, right? Like, and that enthusiasm really bleeds through to people, and your enthusiasm really bleeds through to people.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the sort of thing, like what I'm trying to do right now is like, I'm trying to like cement, it's a lot of work. Like, I don't think people realize that are kind of just coming in. It's a lot of social, there's like, I've talked to, I hope I get his name. It's like Brian Brinkman, I think is his name, but he's been around for ages. And I kind of talked to him early on, and like he let me know that like I'm kind of doing really well, and things are going really well after my first couple of sales and stuff like that. And he's kind of been like, in sort of like a mentor. He's someone I kind of reach out to and kind of talk to, but he's kind of steered me, like letting me know the stuff I'm doing is working, and kind of, so I've wanted to spend my time trying to integrate myself into the community. I think it's really important here. Like you never know, like, I don't know if like in my sales, like all my KnownOrigin sales other than this week had gone pretty much to other artists that I've supported. So I've been buying their pieces, and then they'll go and buy my piece. There's artists that I'm still going to go buy their pieces. I've just, this whole week has been crazy. And now that I have some more ETH, I want to go and actually grab some of these guys' pieces, and like we should pretty much just be trading at this point,
Yeah.
because it's just like we're going back and forth one-to-ones. I think my focus is more so on community at this point, and trying to like, I want artists to like blow up. I want artists to get out there, and I feel with having more followers. I think I actually just hit 1,600, which is sweet.
Sick.
Thank you, everyone. But yeah, having that platform and people actually starting to listen, like a retweet can mean everything to some of these people. And I think that, yeah, it's something I want to continue to do. I want to be someone in the space that's going to kind of, I'd like to usher in people. I want to promote people. I want people like just from all lives that are really pushing themselves to do that and get themselves into the space, who are working as hard as I am. I want them to get it. Like this is crazy. Like if you're in this, doing this, and you're working hard, you're gonna see results. Like it's really wild. And like, yeah, I don't know what's in store for me in the future of this, but if all I can do right now is just like, yeah, try to promote the community as much as I can, and just put out the word on it. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you had caught the interview earlier with Baka Arts. He was discussing, how every time that he sells like a piece, his game plan is to buy like a one of one from like another artist. His take is to purchase, just other art that's like kind of in his style, more that, kind of like futuristic style. But I think that's like a great way to give back, where, it spreads the love a little bit. And he was talking like a lot about the, struggle that he had as an artist, and, like what he had to go through, where, he had to deal with like shitty clients and not making ends meet a lot, and, just the struggle. And I think, to your earlier point, this is like a phenomenal time where finally, artists really are hitting their stride and are going to continue to get paid, which is incredible, because that's never been something that has ever been successful for artists, right? Like, most artists, the majority of their sales came after they were dead, and it's all secondary sales, and none of it went back to the family. So like, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. And it's nuts to like even early on, like when I got into crypto art, ETH was $480 on my first sale. And now it's like, it's probably gonna hit $2,000 today. And like, it looks like it's gonna do that. So, and like, it's crazy. You hear all this advice from people, like what to do with your money, which is great. Like some of these collectors like that I see that are from a crypto background and managing their funds, like Colin Goltra is great. He's such a gem in this space for sharing information and just kind of putting out the proper information for artists and for collectors and whatnot. But getting advice from these people who actually are in crypto investing itself and not artists, and what they kind of do with their money is great. Because like I've come up with a plan where I haven't been following it yet recently, because it's just kind of all wild. I have a lot going on, so I want to get back to it. Is I kind of want to put 20% of kind of like either every sale or every couple of sales back into getting pieces. I want to, and there's an angle to that too. I'd like to get investment pieces that I kind of know that I want them to grow big. There's pieces that, everything's an investment, but there's art you like and that you're like attracted to. There's art that there's definitely a investment opportunity behind it. And then there's art of your favorite artist that you just kind of want to grab, or art you want to buy to help someone like progress that you really like, and do that sort of thing. So I've kind of went with like a 20-60-20 rule. So 20% I'm going to put back into the NFT space. 60% I want to keep in Ether and try to grow it. And then the other 20% I try to transfer out into like stablecoin. So if things go to shit, then I have this money at least that I've kind of saved. And I think that's important, because the volatility of this whole thing is crazy. Like, I mean, we could wake up tomorrow and things are back down to like 1,200 or something, and because you never know what's going to happen. But I don't even know. It's exhausting. Yeah. It's very exhausting. The last and it's great. It's great, but it's super exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, you went through that last crash. I went through that last crash. Like I was working. I think at that time, I was making whatever. We'll just say shitty money, like sub. We'll just say sub 50,000, right? I was like newly graduated, and just like, not making a ton. And so I was chasing it. You know what I mean? Because like, all right, we'll do the investment. And I took in like a bunch of money. Every spare dollar that I had was going into that. I was like living at home, and like every penny was going in. I ended up taking like a $5,000 loan to also throw it in, and then that crashed. And so like I spent like the next like 3 years trying to pay that off. And so
Yeah.
super risky. Whatever. It's just more in that vein, right? Like your 20-60-20 rule. Maybe that's not perfect for everyone.
No.
That's fine. But at the same time, like, something that I wanted to also discuss is like, you're completely correct that it is volatile, it is risky. And so, like, it's easy to be a great investor in a bull market, right? The past 12 years in the stock market, right now with Bitcoin, ETH, how did you lose money in this? You really can't. And
Yeah.
so I just want the gold rush that is happening, the blow up that is happening to be, really grasped and maintained, because at the end of the day, we're all just like minnows in, the whale game of
Yeah.
cryptocurrency. So
Yeah.
maybe it's Goltra, maybe it's somebody else, but please, for the successful artists, go get a financial advisor, or, also a tax person. The tax man gets paid regardless.
Yeah.
You do not want to get fucked on your taxes, especially, if you cash out and then it goes to shit. Because
Well,
that
that's the
happens to
thing,
people.
because like that's what I have to figure is I'm about to do taxes as well, and like I don't know if it's only for the money you cashed out, or if it's like, because I know you're taxed on your incomes from it in crypto, but it's going to be wild because it's all over the place. But I think you then get capital gains, at least in Canada, when you cash out money. So I've done one big. I freaked out early on when it was at like 500 and something, and dropped back down to like four or something, and I freaked out. There was like a dip, so I cashed out at like 60% of my money, which I needed. I needed it at the time, which is great. But then now I'm looking at things, and I'm like, I'm like, I could have just
1962
kept
Andy
it,
Bain
and
put it in.
yeah, and then I could have probably taken out what I did and not have had a big as an impact. But yeah, that's learning, right? That's part of it. It's this whole space is about learning, and it's going to be crazy to see people like Justin, who's 16. All of a sudden, he just like made 15 grand or more or something today. Like how he's going to handle that. Like it will be interesting to see. And the great thing is you have all of these artists in this space who've been there and know what they're doing, and they're there to help them out. They're gonna be there to kind of let them know what the best route to go is, and kind of doing this stuff. So the community in this thing is, I can't even tell you. Like I was so blown away from coming from Instagram and like basically having to like get any support through like a chat system. Like you get like you get tons of likes, which is great, but then you get like 12 comments or something on your post. And with like Twitter, you get way less likes, but then you get like this whole support group of people that are just completely behind you. And I think like over the last 2 weeks, like my growth, especially, it's just like just seeing all the artists, like the KnownOrigin crew. I can't speak enough about just all those artists. Like they're just so supportive of me, and they're like buying my pieces. They're they're just so supportive. They message me and let me know. They're contacting me about other opportunities. They're just so helpful, and they've kind of made this whole thing incredibly special. I can't even express to them and to everybody how amazing having the support I've had coming into this. I just sat in my room. I would sit in my room for like 3 or 4 hours every night for like 3 years and just try to put something out on Instagram in hopes that like I'd get a motion designer's feature or something like that, right? Like I got like barely any contracts. I got like one lyric video or something in 3 years of doing this stuff, because I'd worked freelance, so I was on to people trying to take advantage of me. So I just passed up mostly everything, because everyone is out there to kind of get you on the cheap. But yeah, now artists are passing up client work. Like the amount of Twitter posts I've seen is like I passed up client work for this month because of how things are going here. So it's amazing. It's amazing to me that's what's going on. And I've been fortunate enough. I have a job. I work at a university as a lab supervisor at Capilano. But to be able to kind of do this as supplemental income has been has been amazing. And the fact that like I'll have summers off and be able to focus on this stuff and like kind of take that time to, I've really wanted to try to figure out how I can get more invested in this thing, doing different projects. Like I have a bit of a coding background, so I'd like to do some generative art, but I kind of don't know how to form it or include it into my whole universe of art. I think it's going to be like way different than the stuff I usually do, because I kind of want to keep my branding in that whole thing, because I feel that I've really dialed in a style and a look, and I'm kind of worried of trying to introduce other things into it. So I would like maybe even want to like start a whole new alias or something for that sort of stuff. But to have the time to actually sit down and like do the code and set up a project and talk to some developers and stuff like that to kind of get it going would be amazing. And just like people are doing such creative drops now, like Fuck Render's verse, like his universe, that's insane.
Awesome.
The fact that he was able to pull that off in like just over a month, like he just had the concept, he learned Unreal, he learned how to do the whole thing, made a nifty gateway drop, and the whole concept and everything about that, to be able to pull that off in such a short amount of time. The guy worked his ass off.
Yeah.
And I think that it's crazy, because a lot of these artists too are working like full-time jobs, and some of them are like the bigger artists are like doing client work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to see the different realms of people in this space kind of like just succeeding with all their issues and other stuff that they have going on is really amazing. Like it's really a space for everyone.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to, so to me, like I feel like working as like more on like the private side and stuff like that in terms of whatever, just fully client work, I think that, you know, you'll be able to charge better rates. People will be more clamoring to get, you know, your work in terms of being able to say like, okay, you know, like Tim did this, right? Or, you know, Gultra bought from this artist, you know, like that kind of thing. And like, as this becomes more mainstream, you know, like I think that the ability to do client work, you're going to be able to have so much more respect going into it, and therefore like so much more leverage. And again, I mean, the monetary ability to say, you know, like I don't need your $150 anyway, bro.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing coming out of that is like, I still don't think this space has grabbed the attention of everyone it can yet. Like it's infant. It's still just like it is starting to, for sure, especially after Beeple's news today and the Mad Dog Jones. I think that drop insane. I think it's really going to become mainstream and not too much longer. And that's when you're going to get like some bigger clients and like artists, like bigger artists looking for that creative drive. And it's going to create this whole other, where maybe artists are like, yeah, pay me in ETH and stuff like that. Or like, pay me in crypto. Like there's going to be this whole market now where artists might be able to drive more of their success, and they're based upon this whole market and having a backing in it. It's kind of exciting. Like we don't know where things are going to go. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of, what I've seen is that it's kind of, the building blocks are here for kind of anyone to do what they want. Like if you look at like Loopify's stuff, like he's like, I'm going to make a bunch of trees, and then he goes on and he makes a killing doing it. And now he's doing his 101 artist thing. I was a part of it. I had to back out because I have to leave emergency travel this weekend, but had to back out of it. But I hope like an artist gets that spot and gets that money. But yeah, like just people with ideas and backing and some funding to do it can really do anything here.
Yeah.
It's like hype, it's backing money, and it's promotion pretty much. So you have your idea, you can go for it. Like I saw a recent one, it was Pixabrews or Pixalife. So they did beers. So they did pixelated beer images, and they have all these different beers that are kind of set up. And they're representative of real beers and life and stuff like that. But it's cool. Like people can go and buy these little collectors for like 0.1 or 0.2. And I mean, these things could blow up. Like you never know what's going to happen. And it's like, I like these little ideas, like, and especially when they're playing on specific styles like pixelated and pixel art. Cause like the kind of nostalgia that sort of art hits, especially in people like in older generations as well, like yeah, people who are now have money and all that stuff. It's kind of playing into that like Sierra Games era of people that are like all about that style and whatnot. But yeah, I love that stuff. I'm like a huge fan of it. So it's just really cool to see the angles people are kind of taking in this space to kind of leverage themselves, because it's all about right now. Like we're in this, and you don't know how long it's going to be. So the more you can kind of get your stake in it, the better.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's just like, again, to the earlier point, it's just absolutely amazing. ND Bain said that your lyric vid was sick, and so you'll have to send that to me. I'll have to add it into like the video description and actually take a look at it myself too, because I'm sure it's actually awesome.
Yeah, no, sweet. It's like it was for an artist called Jacob, but it has like, it's crazy. It has something like, it's like almost 700,000 views, and I was just like, yeah, I didn't really expect it. But yeah, it was cool. It was a cool project. It was just like it was a sequence of like 4 loops, and I kind of had a lot of creative control. I worked with a director. I think it's Eli Scone. I think is his last name, or Scone, as Sokn, I believe. But he was super awesome. We just kind of bounced ideas back and forth, and he kind of loved where I was going with it. So he kind of let me. It was more about the editing that needed to change rather than the concept. So it was a really cool. Yeah, I was proud of that project. It was a fun one. But like, I mean, that's kind of like it in terms of my big stuff. I don't come from like doing big projects or anything like that. It's just kind of been me on Instagram, and then since getting into the space, it's been pretty crazy. I think I got to reach out and to Colin again. Colin Goltra has been he bought my first piece. He basically, and he's bought 3 more since. He's been a huge supporter of mine, and he's always great with communication. If I have a bid that he's like not sure about, he'll like reach out and we'll come to like an agreement about stuff. Like I'm all for collector artist relationships and stuff like that, because I know that Colin is into my work. I know that he really appreciates what I do. I know like we have a great relationship together, and I know that in the future it could lead to like further opportunities with him. Like, so it's all about, I feel the collector, it's tough for me when someone buys my work and they don't have any social media or anything like that. And you can't reach out to them because you don't know what they're going to do with it. Because some of them could just go and sell it on the, I'm not big enough yet, I don't think, to like have people like be selling my work on the secondary.
Seems like soon, man. Seems like soon.
Would be awesome. But like, I mean, you can sell work on OpenSea, right? And avoid the whole royalty. So if
does it avoid the royalty, or does it avoid the fee? I totally don't know.
I think that you can get around the royalty of things by posting on OpenSea, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. I think I know, I've seen posts about it and artists talk about it. So I mean, the thing is that like with collectors like Colin, you kind of know they're going to respect that, and they want you to succeed. Like, it's an investment for him, obviously, and like I'm hoping that for him that my work and my progression and growth will pay off for him, because that's awesome. Like, to have someone invest like thousands of dollars into you, and to like put that effort into things and grow and like have that backing as an artist to really make a name for yourself in the space, and then to have success from it. Like, I love that he would be able to kind of get that reap the rewards, so to say, of
if he does decide to sell. If he does decide to sell, he might just keep it. You know, I mean, he's almost like I don't want to speak for him, and so I totally don't know, but I know that he looks at the investment partially as giving you the funding to be able to do stuff because he sees talent, right? And I also know that he seems to be at least like a collector purist. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes, "I'm not fucking leaving." You know what I mean? Like just the Wolf of Wall Street thing of just, I'm never fucking selling. I'll ride it, whatever. Like, this is just cool.
Yeah. No, and like that's the thing too. It's just it's been great, and like the people who are collecting my edition pieces too are reaching out and just saying, yeah, it's just cool having this like realm of people, like people who have a lot of ETH who are kind of investing in you. From like I've had Akira buy a couple of pieces as well, which has been sweet. I haven't got a chance to talk to him much, but it's been pretty cool to like have, like, Max Stealth just bought a piece, which is awesome. He was like the first collector I ever saw coming into the space, and it's cool that he bought a piece. but yeah, I've had a lot of big collectors grab my work, which is great. And it's kind of cool because something you don't kind of see at the time is that if this like blows up and your name gets bigger and stuff like that, like secondary sales, like what if ETH is like $10,000 or something, and then your work selling for like whatever, like 5 ETH, and then you're getting 0.5, which at that point will be something like crazy. And like if you like get onto something like say Nifty Gateway, or you get onto the stuff, and all of a sudden you have this influx of eyes on you, and then all of a sudden people are like a fury on the secondary market of your work. It's like this whole other aspect that I haven't really got to experience yet. That's wild. You see it with other artists, like them making like just even like $1,000 on a secondary sale is nuts, because it probably got bought for like, sometimes like 5,000, then they sell it again and they get another 1,000 for that, and then it can probably sell it again and then you get like another 2,000. It's just like this whole royalties for artists thing is a whole other topic that is pretty insane as well in this whole crypto space.
I have to actually like figure out if OpenSea doesn't give the fees to not fees, like the royalties, because if that does that, that's almost like, I look at it as like fucked up, like
it's a little suspect, but if someone could clear it up for me. I think I've just seen it happen. I just know I've seen it happen. I'm just not entirely sure how they go about doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't, like, for me personally, like, I'm okay with people not giving more money to the Winklevoss twins, because like I'm just okay with it, right? Like they're probably approaching billionaire. They're well off. We'll just say that, right? Nothing against rich people. They were in the right place, the right time. They decided to buy that, whatever it is. Moot point. But I don't need to give them, the secondary money. But for me, like, I like that the secondary value, the secondary sale does give the royalties. I feel like the space as a whole, like, it needs it, right? Like people, at least in like the Nifty Gateway chat, talk a lot about flippers, and like Pac had a post about like flippers versus holders. But like for people as like an artist, how do you feel about it? Because at the end of the day, one, it's like it's respect for your work that it's getting resold at a higher price, and then two, it's additional income. So like, is it really like a slap in the face? Like you obviously want your work to go to true collectors, but there are benefits to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the thing is that like I've only had one piece, I think, so far listed on secondary market. And I mean, if it's sold, I'd be stoked. I think it'd be cool that like if some other, I think people picking your work up on the secondary, it's like, it's crazy to see someone like, I had it bought, and then it was put up right away for a secondary sale. And it kind of, at the start, it was like, oh, I'm like, that's a bummer. Like the collector doesn't really resonate with that piece. But then when you start to think about it, there's going to be more people who might pick it up and then are like hold on to it longer or do something like that. I just think it's a part of the space. I think when you get in here, you just got to kind of buckle in, because it's what it is. And if you're not going to kind of, if you're going to get upset about that sort of stuff, then it's going to be tough to like make sales. Like some artists are really attached to their work, and I really get that, and I understand it. But the more you do this space, I don't know. I don't want to classify this, but like your art starts to become like a product of yourself, right? It's like this thing that you're putting out there to try to get bidding. Like you're obviously in the crypto space. You're not putting work out there just to be seen. You're trying to sell it. You're like trying to get some person who's interested in it to kind of want toward enough to value you for it. But it's kind of a double-edged sort of thing where you also get exposure. You're being exposed to people who are seeing your art who really like it. So I've got a lot of followers who are other artists just by like posting that I've minted a piece or something like that. So it kind of acts as like an Instagram and a shop at the same time. So you have like this whole thing where you're getting the same things you got out of posting socially, but you're also putting yourself in a position to potentially profit off it, which is great. And like, I mean, I've worked really hard. Like I've put in the last like I said, 20 years of doing this, and it would be awesome to see some sort of reward for this, other than like features on Instagram pages that end up getting all the follows anyways for your stuff when they see a cool piece. So you usually bring a lot more to them than you get, because it's an extra click. Someone has to, oh, that's cool, I like it, and then they have to click your name again to kind of go into your page and kind of see what it's all about. And I mean, that's, people do that obviously, but there's, most of the time they're just like, whoa, this page posts great imagery, I'm going to like them and follow them. And then the artist kind of gets left behind in that regard. But yeah, no, it's kind of cool how this whole thing, especially how crypto Twitter has taken off in the last few months. It's really become like the place for artists to post, where Instagram is more where people just kind of post because they feel they have to, sort of thing, to kind of keep their social presence going. But that's my belief anyways. That's my feelings about it. I only post on Instagram now to kind of just keep people up to date on what's going on, where I would try to engage a bit more on there before, but the Twitter is something else. It's like it's so involved now, and it's really great. It's just like, especially this last 2 weeks, seeing like all the people you support and stuff, like the tons of them are making sales. And like, it's awesome to see, like when you make a sale, you have like 10 comments like, way to go, like that's awesome, that's great. And then you see them make a sale and it's like, yeah, it's like this huge bandwagon of all these people cheering on themselves. And then what they can do is they can go on, and what I'm seeing too with like the bigger artists now is that they're starting to invest. This is something I was kind of PO'd about, is that I never saw any of the big artists investing back into the space, but I'm seeing it now, which is great. They're investing in smaller artists and they're promoting them to their followers. So the fact that that's happening is huge. That sort of thing, especially with some of the bank these guys are bringing in and the support they can offer, is going to really help explode what is already going on, and it's going to help people more on a wider scale be successful. And especially if the projections are correct on crypto and its evaluation and stuff like that, if there's a lot of people who can get in now and even make like 1 or 2 ETH in sales, like holy shit, like like it's crazy to even think about that. It's wild.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a feast not famine mentality, and it's great to see where there is enough to go around kind of thing, and as it continues to blow up and goes more mainstream, you don't want to be known as the stingy artist. You want to be known as the good guy who's helping others. Obviously cover your own bases, right? But like, yeah, to your point, it's great to see other people buying in. Color Eclipse Art said, "Don't be afraid to give away your babies," which is to like industry about like art attachment. And I think that I had seen discussion on this on Nifty Gateway, and I find it to be like pretty true. But I think that you're selling the token, but the token also has history, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that for people like yourself and whatever, not just yourself, but open editions and numbered editions, why am I gonna buy, like, okay, number one is important, the last one is important, right? Like first and last is important. Obviously, some people like 69, some people like 69 or 420, whatever, right? And so those numbers are obviously important, but everything else, why am I gonna buy number, say, whatever, 86 versus 75, unless like somebody was calling out somebody else for constantly dropping the price trying to get a sale on like an open edition, and it was like 25, 24, 23, 22, and this guy was just like, I'm never buying that. Like that is not happening, right? And so you're almost selling the history of like the item on top of that. And so then when somebody like Gultra does collect the piece, and then you get to say, oh, I bought that from Gultra, right? Like that's also, I'm just kind of metaing a little bit, but I mean, from an honest standpoint and your take, Gultra is so big within the history of this that if there is whatever art history, digital art history 101, I think that he's and other large collectors are going to be known within the space, right? Him because of, and it's from different variations, right? Like obviously 7 Silver Surfer or whatever, that guy, he spends a ton of money. 888 spends a ton of money, right? Some of them are known for certain bids, but yeah, I think that being able to buy from somebody like that is also going to play a factor, and then the listing prices.
Well, yeah, for sure. It's like, and who's collecting your work and stuff like that. Like it all plays in. And to what you said too about seeing people like drop their prices and stuff like that. Yeah, and you're right. It does. It's just embedded into the chain, right? All that information is there. Like you can go and search up anything that you want. If you just go onto the Ethereum, the Ethereum transaction hash, you can see every single thing that wallet has done.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's what people realize as artists and stuff. Your whole history is there. So if you're constantly dropping prices and stuff like that, it's going to show up. So it could kind of be a killer too, in terms of, trying to value. It's tough to value yourself though, right? As a new artist, like I didn't know, I put my first work up with I was just looking to get bids, because I like, obviously I saw a bunch of people making a bunch of money when I first got into this. And even though that wasn't like my intent, I'm like, this could possibly sell. Yeah. So I'm not gonna, I don't want to put a list price on it. I have no idea how to evaluate my work, first of all. And then I was doing something really different when I started. I don't do a lot of animations, and I've done a ton since I've got into the crypto art space. And so I had worked on my first piece, which was an animation. So I was doing something that was really, all of everything that I was doing coming into the space was all very new.
Which piece was it? I'll try and pull it up. Is it on SuperRare or KnownOrigin?
It's on SuperRare. Yeah, it's my very first piece there. I believe it was called Re-Animate. So it's like this glass sphere that comes up, and then it's like, it pops up, and then it's like this big rotation around, and it's like planets and stuff like that. But that's the first piece Colin actually bought. And it was crazy because I had a bid of 0.6, and I was like, whoa, I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm totally into that. I want to, I'm like, I'm going to leave it though. I'm going to leave it until tomorrow, because I'm just curious to see. And then like 3 hours later, it got withdrawn, and I was like, oh. So it was like this huge kick in the balls for me, because it was a roller coaster right off the bat. But yeah, so this was like the first, I had kind of put into like the animation and sort of stuff like that, because I felt it like had my artistic style and stuff there, but I had never really done an animation or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was all very new, and I didn't know how it was going to be received or anything like that.
Dude, it's incredible.
No, thanks, man.
I pulled it up, and people got to see the whole thing too.
Yeah. And then, then I got the bid, it got retracted. And then I had someone reach out on Instagram. They're like, hey, I really resonate with this piece. And this was at like midnight or something. He's like, I put an offer of like 1.1 on it. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, I'm going to accept it in the morning. I'm just going to bed now. And then I went to bed, and I woke up, and then there was Colin's bid of like 1.4, I believe. And I was just like, I knew of Colin. So I saw who it was, and I was like, okay, I'm making that sale because I know who he is. I know that it's going to be a good investment, because I've got his attention, and it could potentially in the future lead to more sales, which was that decision to sell to Colin, I think, was one of my most impactful decisions I think I ever made in this whole thing. And starting that relationship with him, it was crazy. I was like, everything I kind of had manifested with that decision, I'm like, I'm gonna sell it to him. He's gonna be stoked on my work. He's gonna be looking for future pieces. And then like he bid on like a lot of my pieces. Like, even though he didn't probably win the piece, he was like in the action for a lot of them. So like, not like maybe passing him up, he might have maybe not been interested. I don't know. With Colin, he's likes to be in the action depending on the art itself, right? So yeah, it was like that was a crazy sort of thing that kind of helped cement myself in the space, was Colin getting involved and kind of making that decision to like look at his collection and be like, whoa, it'd be amazing to be a part of this, because I feel my work really sits well in all the other stuff that he has. So yeah, it was super awesome to kind of get in there, and I kind of set things off from there. After that, it was just, I'm pretty much sold out of all my KnownOrigin stuff today. I just have my 1-to-1 that I posted yesterday. And then I have one super rare piece that I posted in like November. And funny story. So I show my son, he's almost 3. He'll be 3 next week, I think, or on the 9th. But I show every piece to my son, and I ask him if he likes it. Every single piece he has liked and has sold, except for that piece. And it doesn't have a bid. So I want it to sell so I could be like, yeah, Arlo, it's sold. So,
did he like that piece, or he didn't like that piece?
Oh, he didn't like it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's like, no, Dada, no, I don't like it.
I pulled it up so people could see too, but that's actually hilarious. That might be the sounding board of is this going to sell or
Yeah.
not? Oh
Yeah.
man, that'll be
So
hilarious.
every time I post, I kind of I show it to him and then
Run it
try
by
to
him.
try to get his input on
Yeah,
it.
that's hilarious, man. That's so great. Is your kid? So I guess two questions. Do you think you're gonna bring your child into a more artistic, whatever raising in terms of like really throwing opportunities at him, or is it going to be just kind of if he opts towards it, and then at the same time like where is your kid currently in terms of artistic drive right now? Like obviously he's a 3-year-old, but does he really love playing with crayons? Like what's that like?
So yeah, again, like, yeah, because you had asked a similar question to Corey as well. And yeah, I agree. I don't want to force, my kid into
Mm-hmm.
to anything, but like my wife and I are also, my wife Jenna and I are also both musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So on that front, he's always surrounded by like we're playing guitar, or yeah, she's playing guitar, she's doing stuff. She's like always involved in the music end of things, and then like he sees me doing art. I'm just kind of hoping that he gets inspired himself to kind of do that stuff. He likes to draw. I think he's into music as well. I think he can like sing back stuff and like he's not obviously he's a toddler, so
Yeah.
but he's definitely has a sense of music. He likes music and specific music. He can like remember lyrics from music and he'll sing them like, and we're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because like we'll put music on at night. And like he likes this band called Iration from California.
Yeah, I know Iration.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It's like beach music. I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
Yeah.
Love that kind of music.
He's a huge fan of Iration. So we put on that playlist like every night.
Mm-hmm.
And so he like one day I remember he's like, oh yeah, he's like put on Coastin', or he's like put on this sort of thing, and he knows the lyrics. He'll like sing, he'll like talk out the parts, and we're like, where did you learn this? And he's like, he just picks it up from listening to it. So I think he is. I think he is gonna be musical, but I'm not gonna put it on him. Like I think just him being brought up around music and around art, I'm hoping that it would make him. But if not, it's not going to be a huge thing for me. I think whatever he decides to get into, at least he'll have that coming. Yeah, like he'll have that sort of environment being brought up, because I think it can inspire, it can instill a lot of things into a child who is brought up around those things, even if they don't decide to go into it. I think music and art really changes how your brain processes specific things. I think you're able to problem solve, especially with music and like jamming and music and like trying to pick up on cues that might not be present. Like I think the thing about like really great musicians and like playing with them is that when you're jamming, you're picking up on not like it's like telepathic vibes, right? It's like you're picking up on an energy that's not really it's hard to, you can't teach it, right? It's just like it's something, if you've been brought up around music, if you do music enough and you're into like, if you jam enough, if you do it, you just pick up on the vibes of that moment. And it's kind of how I think he'll pick up on it if he's around music, if he's around art and stuff like that. Like it might just play into him as a person, and that's all I can hope, is that he gets an artistic kind of sense to him. But whatever he ends up to do, I'm gonna support him fully.
Yeah, that's no, dude. That's I guess I gotta figure out new questions, but it just came to mind. That's relevant. But I'm a big jam band fan. So like Big Gigantic is like something that's like tangential, but I really like the like beach music and stuff like that. Cisco Adler, do you know Cisco Adler too? Similar.
I haven't heard them. No.
Moot point. I just wasn't sure, but it's. I wish that I had more of like an upbringing myself in terms of like music and art and stuff like that. Not that I didn't, but it was very discouraging as like a kid to see my brother be able to draw and then my dad be able to draw. It's something that I talked about too. But like I couldn't draw for shit. So then like they're both doing like seascape type shit, and I'm completely incapable. Sorry. Anomaly also threw out fish. There's actually like a huge fish overlap in terms of fandom that also really like Big Gigantic, and so like a lot of the guys who like followed and ate the grilled cheeses kind of thing also hop in on like Big Gigantic. So those are
Oh, so it's great, man. It's like a bunch of my friends, like when we moved out to Vancouver, like I moved out to Vancouver from my hometown of Kingston, And I just happened to meet someone 2 weeks before I moved out here who was into music, who was also moving to Vancouver. It was just so random. Then we ended up becoming like, yeah, like great friends out here. And like every week, so yeah, Vancouver has like jam spaces you can go and rent. So it's like a room with drums, amps, and you just rent all the equipment and you can go in there and play. And we would go and do that every weekend. And we did it for like years. And yeah, it was wild. It's really, music has been like a huge, even though I've gotten out of it so much since doing the art, because I really wanted to focus on trying to make art something that I'm good at. And as you mentioned, I come from a family of really, really talented artists. My two other brothers, so my brother Scott, he's a comp supervisor in VFX in Toronto, and he was always like an amazing artist when I was growing up. So definitely a huge inspiration. Huge inspiration for me. Growing up, because like he's the one who got me into like guitar. He's the one that got me into like art. Like I was as his little brother, right? So I was like picking up on all of his music and stuff like that. And my brother Jay, he listened to a lot of Wicked music as well. So I come from I have 4 other siblings, so I had a big family. But like it was cool seeing them artistic. I really got inspired by them, and then seeing my brother Scott be successful in that. And then my brother Jay also, he got into glass blowing, and he was wild. He did some crazy stuff. So I got to intern with him one summer and work doing that, which was it's so crazy seeing how that stuff is done as well.
Have you seen the TV show on Netflix for the glass blowing?
I haven't. I've seen the advertisement, but yeah. It's pretty cool what the stuff people are doing, especially now. It's like evolved so much now. Like like even over in the last like 5 years, the stuff I'm seeing people do is just wild now. Like it's but yeah, it's like being brought up around like my parents weren't super artistic. Like my dad could draw, like he could draw, but it's like it was really clean and nice, but it wasn't like mind blowing. And my mom worked in like an art gallery. She's just I think she had the artistic mind. She didn't do a lot of painting or stuff like that, but she was very much into art, and I really appreciated it. So we had all this art. We had art around our house and stuff like that. That was really cool to see. But yeah, it's definitely made its way. Art has made its way into my whole like psyche. So it's been cool to be able to embrace it over the last 3 years and actually make my personal art something, because it was something I struggled with like as of 3 years ago. I thought everything I did was like crap, and I couldn't figure anything out, because I tried to get into drawing and I hated it. And I was not into it. And then I don't know what clicked in me, but I'm like, hey, I know 3D. Hey, people's getting big. Like maybe I could try to like do what he's doing. And then I just went from there, and I burned out on the everydays, and then I'm like, it's too much work. I'm just going to go at my own pace and kind of do my own thing. And then I started developing styles. I started breaking shaders in the right way, and like getting these elements that kind of started to bleed into my work. And it's basically, here we are. It's wild. It's super wild.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just happy to be along for the ride. You know, like I reached out to you, I don't know, like a week ago, give or take, or and just seeing like the past week has been awesome to see, with like just the engagement and everything like that. So that's awesome. I wanted to actually hit this. Do you think you're talking about the modeling as far as like the coding goes and stuff like that? And so we'll omit that as far as like a change in style. But like, what pieces are you conceptually thinking about like right now? Are you thinking about, a continuation of, a lot of your work is like very spheres and space, and are you like, purples and blues and reds and like gorgeous? Are you going to continue hitting that? Do you think you're going to shift, or what do you think?
So there's all this, it's elements of these, right? So the stuff I do, I try to incorporate that into like different elements of like for the spheres, like the spheres can be applied into things like eyes or into other things where you get that like general shape. And I know it's kind of like an overdone cliche, but the whole thing with that is like, if you can do it and people are like, whoa, and you're doing it and people are actually like into it, then I want to continue to push that, because a lot of it is about, for me, is creating like shaders and lighting and textures and just trying to break the image up into like visually appealing compositions. And I mean, they might be simple. Like some of these people that are doing the crazy stuff, like Ness Graphics, his stuff is nuts. It's just like he's got it dialed in, and his stuff is so detailed. Like yeah, he must have like just this for these guys to be able to do this. They do it for so long, and I'm sure that they have a process set up, and they have tools, and they have all this stuff already like all dialed in to do it. And that's something that you learn as you do art more and more and more and more, as you figure out systems that allow you to reduce the amount of time it takes for you to like composite these images. The sort of thing I'm really starting to get into this whole sci-fi stuff. I'm really inspired by artists like Pascal Blanche, Jarlin, and then we have Griff, Crypto, Chris Skinner. Those guys, I didn't really know much about them, and then they started like liking my work, and I liked their work, and then we built this little like friendship where they're like totally supportive of me, and they're like these massive sci-fi artists, and I'm just like how did this happen? I'm like, how is this like? I went from sitting in my room getting like one message a month from somebody saying that they like my art to like now I'm talking to like some of the biggest artists in sci-fi realm doing this stuff, and it's like. So I'm getting really inspired by their works and their colors and just their compositions. It's just there's the whole like 70s sci-fi poster thing I'm really into. I really like it. It's something that's more recent for me that I've kind of been brought into. So I'd like to do more research and kind of learn the artists and the names behind this sort of stuff. But I'm a very like visually inspired person. Like my whole theoretical side of things, it's not. I don't have like the capacity for a lot of stuff to like read up on artists and like do all that stuff, which sucks. I would like to like have more of that and learn more about like artist backing and kind of what they're going for. But I feel that I have a good way of like looking at someone's like work and just kind of like implementing things. And like, I just like how artists use like colors and stuff like that. And just like their color palettes of the 70s art is so wild. Some of the stuff they have that just works. It's like you have like these crazy yellows and greens and like reds, but for some reason it's just like beautiful. It's like anyone else could do it and it would just like look like crap, but then they just have how the image is composed, how like the shadows, how the light is hitting, just like everything is like just pristine and set up perfectly to create this aesthetic with all these really weird palettes.
Yeah, like what you just said. I don't know. It trips something in my head, but it's like, you learn by seeing, and you learn from like more of a visual standpoint. And I think that's like, you can't judge a fish by it. Like, everybody's gonna think a fish is stupid if you judge it by its ability to fly or whatever that saying is. I butchered the crap out of it, but you get the point. And
Yeah.
if it takes you just seeing somebody else's work to then incorporate and then like build it in, like what need, like you had said that you dropped out, and like I think that just the current system is it's just outdated, like the current system of success, especially for artists, right? Like who would assume that a whatever 8-hour day of schooling is the right path for a creative minded individual,
Right. But there's the whole college versus university thing, right? So like college is hands-on. So I think the thing for me is that what I wish I would have done coming out of university is go to like an art college and been more hands-on. University just is more about like learning, like reading and like learning, regurgitating, learning methods just to kind of get through that whole system. And I mean, it is for some people, and that's it's for an artistic person. I feel that college is such a good route to go because you get the hands-on experience that you need. And it's just, for me, when I went to Cap's a university, but they had this like amazing visual effects program where they had all the top high level equipment and stuff like that. Like working there now, we have like a motion capture studio, we have VR headsets, we have just like everything is state of the art, and like I just kind of get to go in there and learn it. That's like my job's to go and learn this stuff and do this, as well as like helping students and it's just wild to me that like from the college aspect to have access to that sort of stuff. Whereas if you went like into a university program for like just like arts or something like that, you're just more learning about it and you're not getting any hands-on experience. So I think it was that aspect of university that I wasn't vibing with. And and just I ended up trying to go more the private institute college route.
I think it'll be interesting to see, the as the I don't know what to call it better than, wealth transfer kind of happening in terms of into the art world. But
Mhm.
I'm really interested to see, endowments or funding or stuff to that extent into, the younger artist, or, not the 16-year-old per se, maybe, but, like
Yeah,
the 20, 21-year-old, 18-year-old, whatever, who's trying to find their way in life, that clearly has some talent. And, instead of working a, crappy job, get some kind of a I don't know, living stipend or something to that extent, and they get paid a little bit to, live and actually make the work and see if they can have some success.
yeah. Or you could be ferocious and just make a sale and buy a house. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the most. When I saw that, I was just like, wow. I'm like, this is really, really something else. Like their story is just is like it is crypto art. It is what this whole thing is about. Like a young person getting that sort of stuff, and they're amazing. Their whole attitude and their whole personality is just it's what this whole thing should be about. You should be like vibing with energy and just super stoked and putting it out there and just getting everyone stoked about this whole scene.
Mm.
But yeah, it's that yeah, that's pretty much.
What has your wife's take been on, like, the whole success, the whole scene, the everything?
Yeah, oh man, she's my biggest supporter,
Mm.
and I mean it's yeah to be real, it's like it's all encompassing this whole thing.
Mm.
If yeah, for what I'm trying to do in this space, it's a lot, and I really love you, Jenna. You are an amazing support. I wouldn't be here without you. Like she's sat with me for the last 3 years while I work on stuff, and like kind of she knows what I'm putting into this and what I'm
Mm.
trying to get out of it, and just as of like the last week too, her support for me, like just actually seeing it come to fruition, and it's amazing. Like yeah, honestly, I don't know where I'd be without someone with her support
Mm.
and her endeavors as well. She's starting a band with her friends Carly and Sia called Space Queen, and they released an album and they're starting to get success. So
Mm.
I want to be able in some effort to kind of use this space too to like do artwork for them and kind of try to merge them into the NFT space and try to support them and support her in the ways that she's been able to do that for me over the last bit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but it's yeah, I can't express enough how much that her whole energy through this, because it's a roller coaster, right? It's
Mm.
all over the place. Like and being an artist is not and so just my whole energy, because it's fluctuating all the time with this stuff. It's frustration, it's excitement, and it's just like talking about it all the time. I'm sure I annoy the hell out of her, but in the end, she's always there to support me.
Mm.
And yeah, and like at the end of this, I want to be able to like spoil her. I want to have like I want to be able to like be successful and kind of yeah show her yeah everything that she's kind of given to me over the last bit.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it'd be great to maybe work her art, her music into an art piece with her.
Well, I have plans to do that. So yeah, I'm doing some stuff now. So I'd like to do yeah, we've got a plan. So this is kind of a project I'm working on. Yeah, there's 3 singles. So we're gonna be I'm wanting to do kind of like the three art for 3 singles,
Mm-hmm.
and then doing art for their album art. So hopefully incorporating that in some way into the NFT space and kind of trying to give them exposure and just kind of splitting profits for them to kind of get a base to go back and do more.
Mm-hmm.
Because if stuff is gone and like making sales and stuff, like they could potentially fund a new album or something. You never know with
Yeah.
with what people are buying. Like it's so crazy right now that the possibilities are kind of endless. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be really cool to yeah that's going to be kind of my focus over the next bit is that project. I have some collaborations that I'm going to work on with some good artists that I'm gonna keep under the radar for now. And then yeah, and then just trying to I'm going to try to just wrap up the school year and kind of and try to get my focus on that. It's just so it's been distracting to kind of like focus on work, and then I'm working at night doing stuff and like just all immersed in that. So I'm just kind of it's been a really good week. I'm kind of just looking forward to kind of like maybe taking a couple of weeks and just kind of thinking about stuff and relaxing and just focusing on some of these projects that I don't need to have any immediate immediate dates on or anything like that. But yeah, I'm this week's has been wild. I'm just so blown away. And yeah, just having that one piece left, I'm just that's all I have to focus on. I don't have to like look at my stuff thinking about if anything's going to sell or anything like that. It's as much as it's like not that important. It's always crazy to like wake up to emails from KnownOrigin and like SuperRare and stuff like that. So it's really cool to get to experience that this week. Like every day has been pretty wild, or waking up to like 40 Twitter notifications and stuff like that. It's been really wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta pick and choose which one of your posts I actually comment on, because all of a sudden it's like 8 notifications. It's like, what the like what did I do again? Like
yeah. No, it's I'm probably a bit too active on Twitter, but it's good. I like engaging with this community. They're really fun. Yeah.
So the question that I like to close with: what do you think your purpose is in life?
What do I think my purpose is in life? Oh, I think one of them is I want to provide for my family, for sure. I want to be my whole thing is, I feel that I mean, life is a progression to, like, for me anyways, I want to get to a point, because the more you do stuff and more you do stuff, you get to a point where things start to kind of materialize in different ways, in larger ways. And I just want to get to a point where I can provide and be present, because stuff's like very, it's a lot, like doing the VFX industry, doing the animation industry. It's like a lot of energy. It's a lot of time put in to get success. It's a lot of work. You're just constantly working. And like even this stuff in Twitter and art and doing your personal art, I just want to like do it. I want to get established, and then I want to just like all the other stuff. I want to like just like focus on providing and just like being there and kind of helping my family out, and just take that next part of life. And just like I'm nearing 40 now, so it's getting as crazy. I was like 25 like 2 days ago. So and the crypto art space has aged me probably as well. But I just want to provide for my family, and I want to I just want to continue doing what I'm doing. I think my purpose is, people are really starting to gel with my work. And if people are doing that and they get impacted by it when they see it and they respond, like, I want to keep doing that, man. That's awesome. I want people to really I like that. Like I've never wanted to be famous or anything. Like, this is the last thing I ever wanted. But it's cool when you have like support, like especially just through art, like your music or your visual imagery or your writing or anything like that. It's really cool to have support and people like letting you know. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for the time. I mean, this was, like I said, a week ago, I stumbled upon your art. I was like, that's pretty fucking awesome. And I just, I sent you a DM, and here we are. And dude, I'm excited to be, not directly along for the ride, but, here to witness.
Yeah, man. Like I was thinking the other day, like these little things that you're doing every week, they're going to be epic. They're going to be like a part of the whole history of this stuff when it blows up. Like it's going to be really cool that you're going to have this like sort of this bio of all these artists and the deeper relationship with them and kind of what makes them tick and all that stuff. I think it's really cool, and I really appreciate you making me a part of this. This is my first interview ever, so it was really awesome. You made me. I was nervous. I've never done anything like this, so. My wife tells me I yell when I'm nervous. So
you're good.
I chilled out, I think. But no, it's been a really great talk, man. Like we're already like at an hour and a half, and it's like it felt like nothing. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, dude. Like I've been saying, 6 months to a year, especially continued success. Definitely want to check back in, see how everything's doing. See your 4-year-old at that time, and
yeah, man, for sure. I'm totally into it. Have me back anytime.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Dude, awesome. Thank you. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Savage Talks. I appreciate the time. Hopefully you guys liked it as much as I did. I'm really happy with how much engagement I'm getting on Twitch TV. The chat has been moving pretty solidly. And so, it's nice to see people come in, support, listen, hang out. Appreciate it. So hopefully you guys keep coming back. Hopefully you guys liked it. As always, let me know down in the show notes if you guys had any questions that maybe I missed or whatever, any kind of feedback. Always appreciate it. Thank you. Peace.